as many of you know, we had this big anniversary this past summer of the Manson murders, and Los Angeles Magazine had a really good story, I thought, about the Manson murders. And what struck me about it was this quote from a former prosecutor, Vincent Bugliosi, who said in the article, "Where was God in the LaBianca home and the Tate residence? Christians believe God is omniscient, so evidently he was there those nights and decided not to do anything." So this poem is Omniscience. God said quiet, and quiet spread. God said night, and night took hold of everything. Red songbird throats, red shawl of sunrise. The earth on its axis held its breath. The ocean stopped to stare. Here, God said, dusty summer road, tire treads, electric gate. Palms opened to say wait. Palms opened against knife blade. Break, God said, and breaking spread. So this is My Father and the Nuns, 1956. Microbiologist, teachers of parochial school, my father in his white lab coat, the nuns in long white robes, black habits covering their hair. They came to learn the news, double helix DNA, evolution's sway, so science class could meet state rules. He taught them to pipette, swab petri dishes with cotton sticks, wipe down the countertops with iodine. They studied water drops, grew staff on slides, counted microbes one by one, signs of God like strings of beads through chalky hands. Earthrise was the first photograph that was taken of Earth from space. And I was thinking about how unique it is that I have always grown up knowing what the Earth looked like from space, and this is a very new thing in the course of human history. So this is kind of a poem about that. So Earthrise, December 1968. Once, the farthest window was the sky, an opaque frame of earthliness. Blackbirds pulled in night with their wings. Songbirds sang for dawn. In those days, sky knew best, could tell of grassland scorched by fire, blooms of algae, hurricane, could tell of windswept cheeks, stampede, water gathering, about to fall. Then, one day, a bursting into weightlessness, the other side of sky's vast sight, and then a quiet futility, a looking through, past. I'm going to read a few poems from my chapbook, which is called The Grove Behind. And I'll start with the first poem of the collection. It's a poem called Stonework, and it's dedicated to a woman named Margaret Hassan, who was a worker for Care International for 25 years, really, really cool activist. And she was the first woman who was kidnapped and then executed in Iraq after the US-led invasion of Iraq. Stonework. Here is the split, dark crop in the stone's heart. I say as I hold in my hand stone, as in skipping, as in refuse to answer. Today on the news, another beheading, a woman this time, as in leave no unturned, black hole of a mouth, of a plum, of an eye. I know you have stones there, hail, paving, where, find one, hold it, as in cast the first, as in to death. My chapbook title comes from this next poem that I'm going to read, which arose, I guess, out of a photograph that I saw in a traveling exhibition called the Auschwitz album. So it was an album of photographs that were found after World War II that had been taken at Auschwitz, and it kind of blew them all up and traveled them around the country so we could see them. And what I found really remarkable in the Auschwitz album was that every photograph in there was really pretty ordinary. So it was people kind of sitting around outside before being led into Auschwitz, having picnics and talking to friends, kind of leading an ordinary life, it seemed. And it's really only through the lens of our historical perspective that we know what happened to them that makes the photographs really unusual. So this is a quote from the Auschwitz album. "The Jews had to wait until the undressing rooms were ready to absorb them. The routine waiting place was the grove behind Crematorium 4, where they were given orders to sit and wait." And this is kind of based on one of the photographs, a little girl named Gertie Mermelstein, who is in the photograph holding her hands out kind of like this and just looking directly at the camera. The grove behind. In her hands, a bee, grasshopper, butterfly, Gertie Mermelstein announces her prize. Other children circle to see, sit on their knees, ask to pass the insect, please. Gertie keeps her hands closed tight, calls through the men with glasses, limps, walking sticks, "Papa, come and see." A grove of trees, ripped pants, kicked dust, a grove of stars above each beating heart, and Gertie with a spider, fire ant. There's an ancient Korean poetic form called the shijo that I got interested in when my brother went to Korea and started sending me back shijos to read. It's very similar to the haiku, but it has 3 lines, but each line has 12 to 16 syllables, or 14 to 16 depending, and there's a kind of break in the middle of each line, so there's a pause of some sort in the middle of each line. So this is a shijo, and it's called Voiceless Shijo. The flower of your vocal cords collapsed, each stroke an atrophy. Like that last spring, a sudden bitterness, freezing blooms in place. Tulips, crocus buds, yellow suns of daffodils like dying stars. So this is a poem called Relative Motion, and it kind of comes from the fact that my father had a very big habit of kind of laying on the car horn when he was driving. So he just he really didn't use the car horn as an accessory. He used it kind of as an integral part of his car driving experience, which is fine. But the most endearing thing to me about it was that he would always honk his horn when he was leaving in the morning and just honk it for minutes. Like you could hear it kind of getting fainter as he drove away. And then when he returned home in the evening, he would also start honking from way down the street. So you could kind of start hearing him coming because of the honking horn. So this is Relative Motion. And you who once were bustle, quick step, race, water running for a shave, radio playing basketball games, mowing, cooking, tinkering. Hospital bed, most still I'd seen. I stared at your chest, swore I saw you breathe. 5 years you didn't drive, and yet I listened for your car horn beeping up and down the street. Red Thunderbird, station wagon, Jeep, short blasts of home, I'm home, a mile away, or early morning light before the paper came. I'm leaving, going, gone.